Hello? Oh no. This is terrible. Can you see me? Ah! Why is this so bad? Um. Uh. Hello? Are you there? Oh no. Hello? You can see me. This is embarrassing. Did you see me sing that why is this so bad? I'm not sure why this isn't working. I'm gonna go full screen here. You can see me. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Luckily I didn't say anything else or sing anything else. Not that I would ever do anything like that. Great, it's working now. I'm not sure if I can get the content on the screen. I'm not sure if I can share screen with this internet and it to not buffer. This is so frustrating. Okay, it's working and people are here. Sing for us, Philly. Get out of the freezer. I will sing for you. We're gonna start this activity with a brainstorm. Okay, storm the brain. All right, we're gonna do some brainstorming for poetry about climate change. Now, normally I would have a screen that I would share with you guys, but I don't think I can do that right now. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do everything just me, which is a little bit annoying, but that's okay. I'm gonna be chatting to you, and I'm gonna be we're gonna be writing our first poem together. So to start things off, last week I made an exciting announcement where I said, "Hey, I think we might be writing a book and having it published for AimHi, and it will be a combination of poetry and science." There might be sort of an aspect where we're engaging the head and engaging the heart. And I wondered, like, how many people were there? How many people were interested? And then did anyone have a think and go, ooh, I know what I would love to see in this book? So let me know now. This is just going to be a free-for-all. What would you like to see in the book? And did you have any ideas for some poems? Or maybe even some ideas for some ways that we could do poetry? So let me know. Well, incredible. You deserve a Grammy. So, Maddie Hay. Yeah, you might. I don't think Maddie Hay. Maybe you weren't there on that week where I announced we're going to be writing a book. Yeah, very exciting. Someone's coming in here and said acrostic. I like that. Anything we have learnt, like my green, your green. Yeah, I think Matthew Shribman did a session on that recently. Did you? That's kind of cool. I think that's a cool topic. One thing we're focusing on with this book is the topic of climate change. Now, climate change has many different facets to it, and they can be great points for writing a poem or having some interesting science or some good ways of approaching the world. Write a poem in the shape of a tree. Ooh, I like that. Why don't we have a poetry competition and you choose the best ones? Pages of fun facts that we have learnt. Oh, absolutely, Maddie. Hey, there's going to be pages of fun facts that are going to be all throughout this book. Matthew Shribman, as you know, is the king of that. I also like it as well. But yeah, I think that facts without emotional engagement are often only just the surface. And when you have emotional engagement on a real issue like climate change, and then maybe even with ways in which we can move forward, can have a really impactful book. Great. So oh yes, I would love to do a poem on microplastics. I think you could do I know this sounds weird because it's such a serious issue, but I think you could do a fun poem on microplastics. Pollution by polluting a poem. I'm going to write down some of these because I can't screen share right now because I'm on a different network. Rebecca Carmen says, if it's about climate change, you could do a bit on how we can help. Yes. Leading things that countries are doing to help it. Make something depressing fun. I really like that. Make something depressing fun. You know what? I think, Xenon994, we're going to take your idea, making something depressing fun, and we're going to start to write a poem about that for this session. I don't have my normal screen with my normal Apple Pencil and my iPad. I'm going to solve these tech issues by tomorrow, but I do have just a notebook and I have a pen, and I'm going to be writing on my notebook and helping us write this poem. Wow, so much in the chat here. Maddie, hey, how great the future is going to be. Ooh, yes, I like that. Okay, about how great the future is going to be. What is a symbol? Before we get on this, I really like that. We're going to go with this idea of making something quite depressing sound great. And I love your ideas. We're just going to do a little bit of working out how we're going to write this poem. Olive, that idea of pollution is such a good idea. I really want to do that idea. Can we do that idea tomorrow? And more specifically, can we do a theme on pollution tomorrow, and we have microplastics as well? Can we do microplastics and polluting a poem tomorrow? I think that's a great idea. I'm just writing that down right now. So pollution Thursday is tomorrow. I love that. Okay. So, in writing a poem, how do you write a poem? Now, I've talked about poetry before on AimHi. There are three things that I need to include when I write a poem. This is just how I write a poem, and I think it's a good way for us to start. So the first thing is we need our topic. Oh no, everything's reversed. Okay, so the first thing we need is our topic. This is lo-fi, old school AimHi. We need a topic. So the first thing we need is our topic. Now, the second thing we need, now we might not sort of talk about what our topic is right now. The second thing we need is a hook. A second thing we need is a hook. Now, what do you think when I say hook? What do you think I mean? Who knows what I might mean by hook? Oh, C9994, not too much rhyme should be used like salt. I love this. A catchy line, yes, Vendible Sugar. A hook can be a catchy line. Absolutely. A sentence that's so beautiful and amazing, you have to keep reading. Oh, I like that, Maddie. Hey, yes, a hook can be that. Sometimes it'll grab someone's attention. Sometimes it's Captain Hook. Sometimes it's a hook hand. Something that catches your attention. Yes, a hook is a way in. A hook is the thing, just like the way that a hook works, right? Imagine like a grappling hook. It's like the rope extends like this, and the grappling hook grabs the thing like this, and it's your way up the building. There was a diagram with this before, but you just have to imagine. Or, like you've got a hook that, like the mouth of some sort of parasitic worm has, that like hooks its way into on the insides of the intestines of an animal, and it's its way in. A hook is a way into the poem. Now, a hook can be beautiful, just like Maddie Hay said. or a hook can be funny or catchy, or it can be one line. It can be, just like 1 Million Sloths said, crisp and sharp, even if the theme is different and the theme is warm. Yes, it can be. It can be repetition. Oh, it's warming my heart how much you guys are picking up from my previous poetry sessions. I love this. This is so great. Yes. Now, hooks are one of my favorite parts of a poem, because when I often think about how I'm going to write a poem, I often think about the hook before I even think about the topic. So one poem I wrote a poem where I just wanted the hook to be doves infecting the world and everything in the world turning into doves. And I wrote this poem about everything turning into doves called Infect the World with Doves. And it started with a line, I'm addicted to releasing doves. I found a dove dealer on Gumtree. He lives in Kazula and he sells them to me for $20 a bird. Obviously, that's a bargain. When I release them, it's always a pair. Only a psychopath releases a single dove. My goal is to infect the world with doves. Replace dogs at the park with doves on leashes, maybe train as a barista and sweeten sugar-free flat whites, not with stevia, but a large male dove. I'll even let the doves flock under the first couple of layers of my skin. I'll lift my arms up like a can of soup, self-consciously unbuckling itself, 1,000 subepidermal doves. Well, anyway, it goes on, and there's just so many doves. And I wrote this poem, and it was like, okay, it's fine. There's lots of doves in it. But I didn't even have a topic. And then I fell in love and I met this girl that I liked, and then I decided I'm going to marry this woman. I'm engaged to her now, and I turned this dove poem actually into a love poem. And instead of doves being just infecting the world and being like a dove apocalypse, it became like my love for this woman. And so I had my topic, which was about my love for my fiance. I had the hook, which was this weird poem about doves kind of infecting the world. And then the last thing is the form. Okay, the form. I love your comments in the chats. Thanks, guys. Salty, 1 Million Sloth says. I love this. So salty. So the last thing we need is a form. Now, before the 20th century, forms in poetry were very strict. You would write a sonnet, for instance, which had a very strict structure of iambic pentameter, alternating rhyme of A, B, and a rhyming couplet at the end. Or you'd write a sestina or a villanelle, which has a very different rhyme structure. However, poetry can have completely different and more fluid kind of structure. And the great thing about this is there needs to be form, there needs to be some rules to your poem, even if the rules are each stanza is of different number of lines, but they're all images about this one topic of microplastics. Maybe it's something even as vague as that, but it still needs to have rules. So when I say form, I mean, what are the rules? We've got our topic, we've got our hook, the thing that makes our poem interesting, and we have the rules that we're going to follow by. Now, I love the idea of our hook as, I can't remember who suggested it, who said that let's make something that is really depressing sound really exciting. I think that's a great hook. I think we have that as our hook. Now, can I suggest a topic around climate change for this hook? Let me see. I never use rules, I'm a fail. The great thing is that, like, even if you think you don't use rules, I bet you, Maddie Hay, in your poems, and I've read one of your poems before, they do have rules. They might not be strict like a Shakespearean sonnet, but you have your own rules and your own way of structuring it. And And I think every poem does, but the more that you're conscious of when you are following rules, even rules that you previously were unaware of, the better your poetry is going to be. So we've got our hook. Our hook is, we're going to try and make something really horrible sound really exciting. Rebecca Carmen said, could you do a poem in the shape of that graph that shows CO2 in the atmosphere? So the last line is really, really long. Oh my goodness, you guys are coming up with such good ideas. Yes. I love that. Rebecca Carmen, great idea. I'm CO2 graph poem. So good. Okay. Your generation ruined our future and we now have to fix it. Yeah, that's a pretty serious big poem idea. Yeah, we could do that. I think the topic, when I think of when I think of like things sounding better than they are, I think of celebration, and I think of a type of drink. And I just had an idea for a poem, which I'm pretty excited about. It's inspired by the person who suggested this. It's a poem about champagne. This is what I want you to do. I want everyone now to Google, because I can't show you up on the screen. I want you to Google this champagne company. It's a French champagne company. I want you to Google it. Let me show you again. It's this. Taittinger. Now, as you Google it, I'm going to write it in the chat. As you Google it, I want you to tell me. As you Google it, I want Rebecca Carmen now to Google and then I want 1 million sloths to Google I'm just thinking, how are we going to do this? Okay, I'm thinking Dylan Thomas that poem. And then I want I put Taittinger into the chat. I want someone to look at British changing. All right, Xenon, can you please Google British warm microclimates? Yeah, British warm microclimates. Who else wants to Google something? Okay, Japan Maple, can you Google something for me? Japan Maple, can you Google the history? I'm so excited by this, of champagne. This is such chaotic energy right now. The history of champagne. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry if I didn't choose you. I just chose a few people. Okay. A few things are out there. We have Dylan Thomas's poem, Don't Go Gentle Into That Night. We have the history of champagne. We have British microclimates. Warm microclimates. We have Taittinger. Okay, cool. So we've got a whole bunch of things going on here, right? And this is a very loose idea for a poem at the moment. Let's hear from who did I get to Google Taittinger? Tell me some facts you know about Taittinger, the French champagne producer. Tell me some facts. Go. Hit me up in the text right now. Let me know. Xen994. I really would like, we need a lot of stuff on Taittinger. This is a poem idea I'm having that's centered around Taittinger. Can you research Taittinger and why they might be moving their operations from France? Can you research that for me? Okay. All right, here we go. We got Taittinger from Olive 2008 is a French wine family who are famous producers of champagne. The estate is headed by Pierre-Emmanuel Taittinger, a member of the consultative committee for the Banque de France. Okay. I know... And 1 Million Sloths is going, good Lord, that was a dark poem. It will be a dark poem, I think. We're using something literally light and bubbly. We're using something used for celebration, champagne, to have a pretty dark poem. Because I need you, Xenon994, tell me, why has Taittinger moved its operations from France? Maddie Hay has saying they're coming to the UK because of global warming. We have loads of grapevines in our village. Are you serious, Maddie Hay? That's amazing. What village are you in? Yes. Wine production has gone through the roof in England over the last 5 years. Over the last 5 years, it's increased 66%. 5 million bottles of wine are now produced in England every year, which is up from 10 years ago from 1 million. Okay, we have 1 million sloths here. They're coming to the UK because of global warming. We have loads of... Yes, they're coming because the climate is changing. It's getting warmer, and the region that France grows champagne, which is a very specific region, and you can only call champagne if it's grown in the Champagne region of France. Now, certain parts of England, especially in the south of England, especially south-facing hills, have the same microclimate as Champagne now that they didn't used to decades ago. In fact, those regions now are like 0.5% colder than Champagne. So they're so close to the actual same climate as Champagne, which means that they're perfect for growing grapes, which previously... If England grew grapes, it grew like these dank, dense, like German heavy wines. But now it's like light, bubbly champagne with like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay being used as grapes. Completely changed. So I thought, this is kind of a good thing, but it's also a terrible thing. The climate is changing so much that this is happening. And champagne, which is used as a celebration drink, I just had this idea then that maybe we could write a poem where the topic is climate change and changing, like agriculture, changing of, where things have been grown. That's the topic. The hook is champagne, and champagne being kind of used as a central image. This is a glass of champagne here that I drew. Very nice. And so that's the hook. And then all we need now is a form and a way of structuring it. All right. Whew. I've missed a lot of what's going on in the chat. Let me have a look. Xeno9, apparently they're slowly moving to the UK. Yes. Maddie Hay said it's happening in Hampshire and Winchester. And you're going to get a job grape picking. I used to have a job grape picking in Australia. You should do it. It's actually so meditative. You just have to grab the grape slowly, pull it down so you get the stalk. You have scissors and you cut, and you have to not break the skin of the grapes. I loved it. Olive 2008, you just finished a first draft of a poem on microplastics. Oh my goodness, amazing! Can you send that through? We would love to read it. Actually, wait. Edit it. We're going to do it tomorrow. We're doing pollution Thursday tomorrow. Champagne was created when the fermentation process created high pressure and bubbles, which was originally considered a fault, but the British developed a taste for it. Yes, Britain's taste for champagne helped the thing that it is. I didn't know that. That's amazing. Okay, so some really good chats here. Now, 1 Million Sloths has copied in Dylan Thomas's poem "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." I'm going to read it for us, and maybe it might give us like an idea of how to structure this poem. Okay, this poem is called a villanelle. It's maybe the most famous villanelle in the English language. It has a villanelle. It's called a villanelle because it has, there's a few technical reasons. I won't go into it. We don't have heaps of time. It's called a villanelle because it has repeating refrains that alternate throughout the poem. It has 2 refrains. When I read it, I want you to tell me what you think the topic is, what you think the hook is, and what do you think the form or the structure or the rules of this poem are. Okay. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright. Their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Okay, so it's only part of the poem. I know I didn't get to read all of it. I've got it actually here. Anyway, okay, we don't have heaps of time. We're going to 45 past now, 1:45. 45 past, he says 45 past. So we got another 15 minutes. I want to kind of get this done. It finishes with, do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their dying of the light, at their end, no dark. I can't read that last bit. But anyway, okay. So, 1, what is the topic of that poem? What do you think the topic of that poem is? Let me know. Boom. Death. I think you're right, Vendible Sugar. I think it is about death. Is it about battle? I think it's actually about death. 2. What is... Oh, I like that Japan Maple. Yeah, that's a good one. 1 Million Sloths. Maybe it is just about Star Wars. Yeah. No, it's not. It came out before Star Wars. But, okay, so we have... Death. It's about death. I think it is about death. Do not go gentle into that good night. Death. Rage against it. Live this big, full life. Don't just accept it. And unfortunately, Dylan Thomas did kill himself. Yeah, he had a lot of things to say about death in his poetry. That is his topic. What is... Okay, we'll skip to, what's the structure? What's the form of this poem? I already said it was a villanelle. What were the repeated phrases throughout this poem? What do you reckon? Let's have a look. The word rage is repeated, but there is... He repeats, do not go gentle into that good night. He does. He goes, rage, rage against, and he repeats that line. What's that line? Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Those 2 phrases are repeated throughout the poem. Yes, it's got 2 refrains, not just 1 refrain, it's got 2 refrains. I was thinking, let's do this poem with a refrain to structure it. So a repeated line. I've talked about this before. It's kind of like a chorus for a poem, just like Tay-Tay might sing Shake It Off and it gets stuck in your head. We're going to have a refrain that's going to be the structure. We've already got our hook. It's champagne. We're going to be talking about champagne. What the topic, the real thing we're going to be talking about is climate change and how things are like different in different parts of the world with agriculture. It's gonna have, the hook is also like, it's gonna be upbeat and celebratory, just like when you have champagne for celebrations. But we're gonna have a refrain that repeats over and over. So, what do you think? I never apologize for being on caps lock. I love caps lock. We haven't had a caps lock session for a while. We should have one soon. So let's have a little bit of a competition. Come up with a refrain for this poem. If you can come up with a better refrain, I had an idea for a refrain when we started this session, and then it got influenced by the suggestion of let's just make it manically happy. But mine would be when champagne is champagne. That's what mine would be. But what about you? What do you think we could do for a refrain for this? When champagne is champagne. Because for me, that draws on the idea that it comes from the Champagne regions of France, but now it's not going to be in the Champagne. Is it still champagne? Well, it's the same makers of it, but they can't call it champagne. But maybe it's like people celebrating or living their lives normally while the world is going to absolute chaos. And we're sort of like toasting the apocalypse. Toasting the apocalypse? Maybe we could have better wording than that, but I'll put that in as well. What do you think? A good refrain. Because who doesn't like champagne is a really good one. I like that. Because who doesn't like champagne? Because who doesn't like champagne? Oh, that's good. Champagne, drink it down. That's good. All right. One more, and then we're going to choose our favorite one. I'm going to create a short list of 3 that I think are the best ones. Yeah. Okay, I like this. Because who doesn't like when it's champagne? Okay. I think it's either between I think it would have to be, it's going to be a toss-up between Olive's one, because who doesn't like champagne, or when champagne is champagne. Okay, what do you think? 1, because who doesn't like champagne, or 2, when champagne is champagne. Okay, we got to vote for Olive's one. I really like the Olive's one. Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting. Maybe we could. Yeah, I like that. Mers91 said, I think 2, when champagne is champagne. And then the last line is because who doesn't like champagne? I think Olive, your line is a better line, but I think it's like the line that we have right at the end as like the smack them over the face, like a nice little way to finish it. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we have our rough structure. Olive, like, well done. It was very good. We have our rough structure. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come up with images for this topic. So it is 1:37 now. We cannot finish writing this poem now. However, tomorrow is Pollution Thursday. We're going to be exploring topics on polluting the poem, the pollution within the poem. We're going to be doing a poem on microplastics. Plus, we're going to finish this poem with, at the start of the session, everyone bringing in their like an image about like celebrating and something bad is happening. So for instance, my one might be Nobel laureates patting themselves on the back. Something like that. Or maybe I'd say something like, I'd say at the, they got an ice cream cake at the City of London Christmas party this year. No, that's terrible. That's a bad one. But something that's like dark, but still celebratory. I'm searching in the air. Anyway, I want you to come up with one image. Let me see. I think there should be a line in there about toasting the apocalypse. I think you're right. I think there should be a line in there. If you need some more help with this, there are heaps of great articles on Taittinger moving to Britain and setting up their vineyards here in England, and what this means in terms of climate change, what this means for the future, what this means for like how we're going to think about agriculture. Also, a fun way of writing the line might be just Wikipedia. There's some cool stuff on champagne itself, as the different uses it's had throughout like the course of champagne being invented, and how marketing companies have used champagne, especially like the big 5 French companies have used it to corner a market. So it's sort of like champagne is now associated with wealth, but also with romance, and how they've kind of like made it narrow and they've limited supply. But then champagne can only be called champagne through a great tradition that, you know, you only eat food and you can only say that this is this type of salami if it comes from this certain region, or, you know, like Parmigiano can only be proper Parmigiano Reggiano if it comes from Parma, Italy. You know, like, or these have great traditions of like a local produce, but now how it's just been sort of like completely changed and manipulated, and it's become a brand. Maybe you could do something like one little image on that. Just focus in on the paper cut, focus in on the little image of like, you know, and then come to our next session. I'm going to write a scaffold for a poem, and I'm going to slot the best images in. We're going to use when champagne is champagne, but then we're going to finish it at the end with that line from Olive, which is because who doesn't love champagne? It's going to be manically happy, and it's going to be about the changing of agriculture because of climate change, specifically champagne and sparkling wine. Whew! We did it, guys. It's 1:42. We're finishing our session now. My screen wasn't working. It will be tomorrow, but I'm really excited to do this. I hope you are too. I want you to come up with one image for this champagne poem. Tomorrow is going to be Pollution Thursday because we had some great suggestions. We're going to do microplastics and polluting the poem. Great. Thank you so much to everyone. My name's Phil Wilcox. Thank you for being patient with tech issues. Never trust a poet. If you have poems or poetry ideas, please send them to me either on Instagram or to AimHi. The AimHi email is on the website. We need as many poems as possible and as many good poems as possible in writing this book. So in the meantime, never trust a poet. I'm Phil Wilcox. See you, AimHi.